If you can't tell by now, my favorite color is black. Even though I'm spotted. No big deal. Just vitiligo. So, this is the first movie review on YouTube. First movie review. Eyes are a little red. Um, I'm going to talk about two. See if I can get through that. The first one is 1917. It just came out. I'll talk about that later. And Uncut Gems, an Adam Sandler flick. So I want to start with 1917 first. Um, Man, take a deep breath. It's a lot that goes. There's going to be a lot that goes with this. First of all, I was waiting for this movie to come out for at least. I saw a trailer for it at least. Ooh, excuse me. I saw a trailer for this movie at least 5 months before the release date. In my personal opinion, way too long to that's way too long to see a trailer for a movie that you're excited about. So many things can happen in your life before this movie comes out. You could actually be like deceased before this movie comes out. Like maybe 2 weeks before it comes out should be good. But the world's not perfect, so maybe 2 months, something like that, maybe. But 5 months, and I know there's a lot of trailers that come out a full year before the movie's set to come out. The movie is still being edited or made, like it's still being created, and a trailer comes out for it. It's like, really? But that's a that's not that's off topic of the movie 1917. So, um, far as war movies go, I enjoy them. That's not my favorite type of movie, but it's one of my favorite types of movies. So, before I get too far ahead, 1917 is a film about uh, two British soldiers. They get sent on a mission to warn other British soldiers, like a large group of British soldiers. I don't know too much about military structure. I apologize. So, thousands of men. They get sent on a mission to warn them not to attack because they've gained information about it being an ambush type sort of situation or trap, if you will. Um, it's it's just so much that goes into this movie. I'm smiling because I'm really excited. The technology that we have today, a lot of things that you see in a picture, literally, it doesn't exist anymore. You see it in a picture, but they could with that picture and they find a description of this item, it can be recreated. That's where movies are at today. Things that no longer exist can be recreated to be put on the big screen, which I think had to have been done. There's a tank that shows up, and mind you, this movie takes place. It's a decent name. I mean, what else were they gonna name it? They named it 1917, which is the year it takes place in. So there's a tank that was brand new in 1917. It's 2020 right now. This is very, very. If there was ever a use for the word antiquated, it's here in that tank. There was airplanes, if you can call them that. I mean, I think the only thing they left out from something that's known from World War I, which was poisonous gas. They left that out of this film. Maybe I'm not too familiar with the timelines, but maybe they weren't exactly using it in the area uh, where this story took place. But that's enough of that. And I start talking about the movie. Damn, I didn't. I apologize. I haven't. I saw it like maybe a week ago, so it's not exactly fresh in my mind, but I can't quite remember uh, how it started. I know I had a lot of anticipation built up for this picture. It delivered on every level. Like I was trying to nitpick for that particular reason, and I think I only found flaw with two things. There's a sequence at the end of the movie, or closer to the end of the movie, when one of the main characters has to run across the uh, no, they call them no man's land. It's an area in between it's an area in between trenches, and artillery shells are falling down, and he's running across because he can't get from one side of the trench to the other one. There's just so many men piled up in there. He knocks down one person. He falls down like he's dead, but there was no explosion around him. That doesn't. So that's the one thing. Now, if you want to be 100% realistic down to the smallest detail, maybe the equipment he was carrying was too heavy for him to stand back up with it on, but he didn't have to play dead. I'm nitpicking, as you can see. And what was the other thing I found? Oh, there's a sequence when they first leave the trenches to go across this no man's land. They basically get covered in mud, but the following scene, there's like limited mud on them. Even if mud dries, the amount of mud they had on them, it would still be caked on the uniform. But there's so many things that go on in this movie. It was definitely designed to win awards. It's an award magnet. Like, there's beautiful shot after beautiful shot. There's decent acting because the main actor relies on his look of, damn, how do I describe the way he looked? It's not confused. It's just like, it's like you're like, I'm present here, but it's like he was being. I'm gonna try to replicate the look. Maybe if you saw the movie, you can. He was just like, you know, he's like everything's in a haze. Really, like he's operating on autopilot at this point because there's just so much traumatic things that happen in this story. I don't know. I'm on the fence whether or not, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and just say everything in the movie and put spoilers in the title, I guess. I mean, it starts off with two characters. One character has to one character's brother is in the group of uh, the thousands of men that their mission is gonna save, or just prolong their lives for a little bit longer. Because if you know anything about World War I, it was hellacious to say the least, and I think that was portrayed very well in this film. I mean, of course, I wasn't alive during World War I, and I don't know anybody who was alive during World War I, especially anybody who served as a soldier in World War I. But you can read documentaries, or you can even watch documentaries, and they follow very closely to that. I mean, you are not going to be disappointed if you go and watch this movie. I I enjoyed it, like, more than a lot, like infinity. I really enjoyed the movie, except for those two things. Like, that's literally the only 2 points I could find to argue. I was actually searching for things to be like, oh, this shouldn't be right, but that's just, at this point, it's just nitpicking. Like, other than that, the movie is pretty much flawless. Pretty much. I mean, there may be something I'm missing. I don't know, but okay. I'm just talking about my feelings towards the movie. I hadn't even told you the whole story, so let me get back to that. It starts off with two soldiers. They're given a special mission to go and find uh, other British soldiers to warn them about not a possible, but an actual ambush that's going to take place. Um, and it's basically their story to get there. But soon as they start off their travels, the writer of this, the writers or writer and the director, they do such a fantastic job of giving you a character's background on the fly, because they're running around and they're talking, but as they're talking about the mission at hand, they're giving you little pieces or fragments of their past history and what brought them to this particular moment and where they're at. I mean, the uniforms and the it's a there it's from it's from a British uh, soldier's perspective. There's no Americans in this movie. It is. I think it is like a nod to Saving Private Ryan, though. I mean, it's a similar story, but just different wars. It's a very similar story. In a way, it's a similar story, but in different wars. Um, well, once they leave the line for the first time, once they leave the trenches for the first time, you get to see the death and destruction that's been that's just been plagued with this land in Europe. The only two countries that make an appearance in this film are German. Well, Germans. I'm not gonna get into the whole thing because I would sound stupid as hell if I tried to explain uh, what that country, what Europe looked like geographically at that time, because they technically weren't Germans. They were like split up into different groups like Bavarian and see. I'm not even gonna do it because I know I'm messing it up already. But they weren't technically Germans. Am I doing this right? Germans. They were like a whole bunch of other nations put together. Of course, Britain was still Britain, still is Britain. Um, but once they leave the line, you get a great view of all the destruction that's just out there, and it's unbelievable. And their uniforms, wow, there's so much detail in their uniforms. So they start their journey. They're getting out there. I don't want to really ruin the movie too much. So they get out there and they're doing their thing, and they don't receive any contact from the enemy, and they do a good job of, man. The set on this movie is just unbelievable because they do a great job of illustrating like graffiti that the soldiers would put up. I don't know. I don't speak German. I definitely can't read it. So there's graffiti in the and there's a vacant gas mask, which I mentioned earlier. They don't really. That's the only reference to gas that they have in this movie. They show a left gas. They show a abandoned gas mask inside the German trenches, and they're walking around. It's just, and it's full of suspense. The movie's full of suspense. So I don't know if I should give away so much of this movie, but they're going on their travels. They get to the first hair. You know what? I'm not even gonna. I'm debating in my head right now as I'm doing this video. I can't give away too much because it's a really good movie. It deserves to be unfolded. It deserves to be unfolded as you sit down. I'm gonna rate this movie. I can't go into great any more detail about the movie because I'll give away too much of the story. But I'll tell you this: the mission is a success to a certain degree. I'll give you that much. So they wind up getting to their destination, but there's trials that come up along the way. There is you actually get to see. I don't know. I like mechanical things and especially things like in their first go about, so to speak. So they have early airplanes, and you actually get to see like a fight between these early airplanes. I don't know if it's CGI or they actually use airplanes, but Well, that's actually in the trailer. You see the airplane crash. One of the trailers. You see the airplane crash into a barn. There's just so much. There's hidden beauty in this movie that's indescribable. Really, I mean, I'm gonna give away one little part. There's a scene when the soldier finally gets to a city that he's been told to find and make his way. I think it was make his way east or west or something like that. After he finds the city, and it's at night, and he's walking around, and he goes in there, and because of all the artillery, like all the buildings have been uh, destroyed, but it must be like a church or an older building, something like that. It's on fire in this beautiful blaze, and the camera's sitting right behind the actor, and they're staring at the flame, and then they pan up like this, and you get to see it from the ground up perspective. It's some beautiful camera work. I'm also gonna give one more thing away, and there's also a reference to cherry trees. Now, if anybody's seen a cherry tree, they have these beautiful little white petals around the. I believe it's the fruit before it blossoms. The petals fall off. It's and those things when those things land on the ground, they are quite beautiful to look at, and that plays a part in the movie. Like it shows up several times, and it's unbelievable, completely unbelievable. I suggest you watch it. I'm going to rate it high. I know this isn't the best review out there. I just don't feel like giving away too much of the movie because I feel like if somebody is going to go watch it, they deserve to they deserve to be given all these gems as they watch it, not by me, but I do like it. That's anything. Now I'm gonna try and jump into uncut gems. For some reason, the only name in this movie is only big name in this movie is Adam Sandler. Oh, and if you like basketball, there's a basketball player Kevin Garnett. But what should I say about uncut gems? I have a feeling this movie is gonna fall on the radar for some reason because it's one of those things. Adam Sandler is like a known comedian, like, and this is a serious movie. Now, when a serious actor or a comedian tries to reverse something that they cut their teeth on, so to speak, like it could be a hit or miss really, and it's usually not a 50-50 shot that they miss or hit. It's usually like more lopsided that they won't make a good film. But this one, I have to say, is fantastic. And of course, I went down a little. I went down a rabbit hole just a little bit. I didn't go all the way in there. I went down just a little bit. I saw a couple of what do they call it? They call it like promotion tour or something like that. So they do on TV shows and radio shows and things. They're trying to promote the film. I went down a rabbit hole, went on YouTube and looked at some of the actors and actresses talking about this film, and they're all saying it took like like 10, 11 years for this film to even be made. Does that necessarily make it better? I wouldn't say so. I would say the reason this film is it deserves a look and makes it so good. Adam Sandler is believable in this role. He says funny stuff, but you can tell that this person has some type of addiction. This movie is about um, a jeweler who doesn't is not necessarily doing well, but of course he has his issues at home aside from the business. I mean, you see some of his products. They're dated. He doesn't really get that much business. His shop isn't in the best condition. Um, his troubles at home is I think he how many kids he has 2 kids I believe, and his wife. You know they're like late to yeah they're like late 40s or early 50s. The characters somewhere around their real ages I believe, and of course he leaves his wife for a 20 something year old. Don't hate the man. He's just it happens a lot in real life. I'm not gonna speak on that. I haven't reached that point, and I don't understand it. That's all I want to say about that. But that girl is a smoke show. I will tell you that. She looks good. And yeah, they're making a big deal about a lot of these actors. It's their first movie. Oh, back to my point. Now, the thing I think that makes this movie so great is they didn't take actors and say, "Okay, you're a clown. Action." They didn't do that. They took people who they found people to be actors and actresses and star in this movie that fit the character that they wrote. And that's like cheating in my opinion. But it makes for a good film. Because it's like, oh, it's believable. It's not believable. Well, I'll tell you what, it is believable because you take somebody who would act like that in real life and you give them a hypothetical situation and then you say action. So it's believable because they would really act like that in real life. So that's why I would call it cheating, but it still makes it very entertaining to watch. And the whole time the movie's on, I'm uncomfortable because I get uncomfortable when stuff is really like tense. I get uncomfortable, so I'm really on the I'm really got my hands dug into the armrest, like, oh, like it's to the whole movie. And then of course the end of the movie rolls up. I know I just don't want to give away anything in this movie either. I mean, I can sit here and say all the major points that happen in this movie, but then it robs it. I think it really does. I think it genuinely would rob it would rob some of the spark out of the film. That somebody went to watch it, but then before they watched it, they heard me talk about it. I just had to say it's a great movie. I mean, there's nowhere to find fault really because I think it's mostly based on a fictional story. So where am I gonna where should I point out fault? I can only point out things that I don't like, and there wasn't much. The only thing that I didn't I hope this doesn't give away too much in the movie. The only thing that I really didn't catch, and that's on me, is the thugs that Adam Sandler, the main character, is getting involved with. Call them thugs if you want to. Oh, a little sleepy. They're they're really a forgotten breed of person. I like to say I don't know if people like that actually exist anymore. Like old mobsters basically, and but their personalities they have you thinking like I don't want to say it because I'll put it like this. You're thinking, for at least for me, I was thinking one direction, like, oh, it's nothing. Especially when you find when things start unraveling, you're like, oh, it's not that big a deal. He owes people money. I'm like, oh, it's not that big a deal. He owes these people money. He's just gonna pay them. Like some of them are pushovers and some of them are family. So it's like it's no big deal. It's not gonna really nothing's gonna pop off. It's no big deal. I think I gave away too much, but the end of the movie, it does a good job of concluding the story. I'll tell you that much. I'm really blown away. I mean, that's how I rate this movie high as well. Um that's how I rate movies, like from good to bad. If I can watch it and be transformed into that setting and feel like I'm going through what the characters is going through that's on the screen at the time. And I can feel his portrayal of this character. He's a gambler too, so that helps. So as he's gambling and he's winning, I can feel him. Because it's like a drug that gets released when you're winning. I can feel that drug, like that drug being pumped through my body. I can feel that. I can feel his anger when things aren't going his way. Not I'm not saying I'm what is it? I'm not saying I'm I don't even know the word for it. I'm not saying I'm like a spirit seeker or something like that. I'm just saying his portrayal of this character in these moments is so real. I believe it. I can believe it. This movie deserves a watch too. But like I said at the beginning of the uncut gems, I feel like it's gonna fall on the radar. I just feel like too many people are gonna be like, well, it's Adam Sandler. He's a comedian. He's trying to make something serious. I don't want to waste my time on that. It's probably gonna be bad. It's not. It's a good movie. So hopefully, I'm still thinking about the format of these movie reviews. If I'm going to continue to do two or do two separate ones and then upload two different videos. I don't know, but I'm just gonna try two today on one video. It's running a little long, but uh, I might change it up next time. But um, yeah, I did all my reviews this week, so probably see you guys next Friday. All right.